Having low self-worth just sucks. It makes you second-guess yourself constantly, avoid taking risks, and sell yourself short. On the flip side, having healthy self-esteem is amazingly empowering. You feel more confident, you're willing to put yourself out there, and you don't let self-doubt and negative self-talk drag you down. So how can we boost our self-esteem in a real, sustainable way? That's where William James' formula comes in. It's simple but profound and gives us a clear, practical way to improve how we feel about ourselves. Before we get into the formula, though, let's take a step back and define what self-esteem actually is. Basically, it's the overall sense of self-worth or personal value that we hold about ourselves. How much we like, appreciate, and accept who we are as individuals. Your self-esteem is affected by a bunch of different factors, some that are in your control and some that aren't. Things like your genetics, your childhood experiences growing up, and your age. Those are pretty much set in stone and out of your hands. But other factors like your personal circumstances, your energy levels and stamina, your mindset and internal thoughts, and beliefs. Those are things you can definitely manage and improve over time. And doing so has a big effect on your self-esteem. It's important to understand that self-esteem is not this permanent, unchanging state. It fluctuates based on what's going on in your life and how you interpret it. The key is being aware of what's influencing your self-worth and taking steps to shape it positively. So how exactly does self-esteem show up in our daily lives? Let me give you a couple examples. One big one is our self-talk, that constant stream of inner speech we all have running through our minds 24/7. If you find yourself always talking yourself out of doing things, making a million logical excuses for why you can't start that business, pursue that relationship, or go after your dreams, that's low self-esteem in action. Your own mind is your worst enemy, robbing you of confidence before you even try. Another way low self-worth manifests is through self-doubt, second-guessing yourself, and an inability to commit to decisions or take calculated risks. Think about group work or collaboration. It's brutally tough to be an effective team player when you're paralyzed by a lack of self-belief. You end up flaking, making excuses, and not pulling your weight. On the flip side, healthy self-esteem breeds qualities like assertiveness, resilience in the face of setbacks or criticism, and the willingness to put yourself out there and go for what you want in life. Not in an arrogant or entitled way, but a grounded, secure way. So we can all agree that nurturing our self-esteem is vitally important for our overall well-being, growth, and thriving as human beings. Which brings me to William James' brilliant formula for self-worth. You ready for this? Here's the equation. Success plus self-esteem equals pretensions. That's it. So simple, yet so profound when you unpack it. What James is saying is that our self-esteem, how good we feel about ourselves, is based on two facts: our actual achievements and successes in life, what we've tangibly accomplished. Our pretensions, basically our aspirations, the goals and idealized self-perceptions we hold for ourselves. The formula states that in order to have healthy self-worth, our successes need to outweigh our pretensions. In other words, we feel best about ourselves when we're meeting or exceeding our own expectations and aspirations. It's all about cultivating that internal perception of, hey, I'm doing pretty freaking well for myself, and taking names. On the flip side, if our pretensions, our lofty fantasies of who we want to be, exceed our actual successes and achievements, our self-esteem is going to take a huge hit. We'll be stuck in a cycle of feeling inadequate, like we're failing to live up to our own standards. Does that make sense? Let me give you an example to illustrate the point. Let's say you have this big aspiration, this pretension of being a best-selling author who writes moving, critically acclaimed novels. You hold yourself to an extremely high literary standard. But in reality, you've published a few mediocre books that didn't sell very well and got lukewarm reviews. According to James's formula, your self-esteem as a writer is going to suffer because your successes don't match your grand visions and pretensions. On the other hand, if your goal was just to get a book out there and have a moderate amount of readers, and you achieved that, then your self-worth would be intact. Your success is aligned with your pretensions. The brilliance of this formula is that it's realistic and honest. As James said, we can't have success with literally everything we do in life. We have to strategically pick out the one on which to stake our salvation, the area where we can truly excel. A perfect example is Michael Jordan's brief stint as a professional baseball player after retiring from the NBA. Some of you younger viewers might not know this, but after being the GOAT of basketball, Jordan randomly tried to become a pro baseball player for a while in the 90s. And you know what? He kinda sucked at baseball. His skills were just mediocre compared to the big leagues. Because as incredible as MJ was, baseball wasn't the area he should have been staking his salvation on. Basketball was where his true genius lived. If Jordan had tried to be the best baseball player ever with those unrealistic pretensions, his self-esteem would have been a crapper based on his lackluster performances. But because his standards were reasonable, his short baseball career was more of a fun experiment than an ego-crushing failure. The point is, we all have limited physical, mental, and emotional resources that need to be purposefully allocated. Figure out what you can legitimately be awesome at, reset your pretensions to align with that arena, and you're setting yourself up for self-esteem success. So those are the basic principles behind William James' formula for self-worth. But how can we actually apply this in our own lives? Well, the first step is getting crystal clear on what your pretensions or aspirations actually are. What are the idealized standards you're holding yourself to? Whether it's in your career, relationships, or life in general, be radically honest here. From there, you need to realistically evaluate whether your successes and achievements are lining up with those aspirations. If there's a big gap between your expectations and your results, it's time to adjust one side of the equation. You can either work on raising your success level through more disciplined effort, strategy, and action. This obviously takes time and isn't always possible if your aspirations are too lofty. Or two, you can temper your pretensions and reset the bar to a level that feels more aligned with your skills, resources, and motivations. There's no one-size-fits-all here. It's a highly personal process of trial and error, soul-searching, and realignment. The goal is to arrive at a harmony between your successes and pretensions. I know it can be really tough to let go of those grandiose, idealized visions we have for ourselves. Our egos get attached to them in an unhealthy way. But at a certain point, if those aspirations are consistently out of reach, no matter how hard you try, it becomes self-destructive. That doesn't mean you have to relinquish your ambition or settle for mediocrity. It simply means being honest with yourself about what's realistic for you to achieve in this season of life. Your aspirations and goals can absolutely evolve over time as you grow. The other piece of the puzzle is being deeply in tune with your strengths, your skills, your passions, and leanings as an individual. Where do you consistently kick ass without intense struggle? Those are your avenues for maximizing success and thus self-esteem. I think one of the biggest reasons people experience low self-worth is because they're stubbornly pursuing goals or roles that don't actually align with who they are at their core. It's an uphill battle that drains their self-confidence dry. For example, I have many creative friends who beat themselves up for years because they couldn't seem to make it in conventional 9-to-5 corporate jobs. Their self-esteems were in the toilet because that airless office environment was extremely misaligned with their strengths and personalities. But as soon as they gave themselves permission to ditch that path and lean into careers that allowed them to use their creativity, artistic talent, and unconventional energies, their confidence went through the roof. Their successes began outpacing any fantasies they'd had about being model employees. At the end of the day, that's what William James was getting at. Figure out who you truly are, what matters most to you, and where your natural gifts lie. Reset your pretensions around that truth with a capital T, then pour your energy into those areas that light you up and allow you to shine. When you commit to that kind of radical self-honesty and realignment, boosting your self-esteem becomes sustainable, empowering, and frankly, pretty easy. Your actions and results will consistently line up with your aspirations in a beautiful, virtuous cycle. So that's the William James formula in a nutshell. I want to leave you with this thought to ponder. If you were being unapologetically honest with yourself right now, would you say your successes are outweighing your pretensions in the areas that truly matter to you? If not, what's one small step you can take today to reset your self-perception or aspirations? Self-esteem isn't set in stone, my friends. You have more agency over it than you realize when you apply insights like these in a mindful way. Don't spend another day disempowered by self-doubt and harsh self-criticism. Affirm what you're naturally great at. Reset those expectations for yourself. and prepare for your self-worth to soar as your confidence aligns with reality. I believe in you. Drop a comment and let me know your biggest self-esteem struggles or breakthroughs. How can you apply James's formula in your life today? Let's have that discussion. And if you dug the value in this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more life-changing insights. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you legends on the next episode.